Dixie where the eagles fly, land of the brave where the bullets don't lie. We fought for our freedom with guns by our side. Red, white, and blue, our southern pride. Raise the flag high, let freedom ring from the rolling mountains to the flatlands. We sing, no one can take our rights. Our Second Amendment will defend our land. With every bullet we stand. We were born in the USA, land of the free. With guns in our hands, we'll forever be. Southern blood runs deep through our veins. We'll stand tall for America till the end of our days. In the heart of Dixie where the eagles fly, land of the brave where the bullets don't lie. We fought for our freedom with guns by our side. Red, white, and blue, our southern pride. Raise the flag high, let freedom ring from the rolling mountains to the flatlands. We sing, no one can take our rights. Our Second Amendment will defend our land. With every bullet we stand. We were born in the USA, land of the free. With guns in our hands, we'll forever be. Southern blood runs deep through our veins. We'll stand tall for America till the end of our days.
Well, hey there. I'm Sully, and as always, welcome into the Gun Club. Today is going to be part one of a multi-part stream. We're going to do a series of things. A lot of it geared towards being your own first responder. We talk about incidents on these channels all the time. We talk about stabbings or shootings or all sorts of assaults, attacks, and violent, ugly stuff. And we know that the number one way to stop the killing is our 2A rights. It's the ultimate force equalizer. It's what we use to protect ourselves and those we love. But what about if the unthinkable happens and you end up wounded, injured, whatever the case may be? Or even if it's not you who is wounded or injured, what if it's a loved one? What if it's just a bystander? We talked about the Traverse City, Michigan fiasco at Walmart. What happens if you happen to be pulling up into that parking lot right as the bad guy is being taken care of? But you've got 11 people who have gotten hokey-pokeyed around. They're bleeding. Something's going on. Yes, it's important that we practice, train, equip ourselves for our 2A rights to stop the killing. But today, we're going to talk about stopping the dying, which is the second half of that equation. When somebody is wounded, when someone is stabbed, shot, cut, whatever the case may be, the ability to provide basic, simple, super simple first aid stuff can make a difference in not only survivability, but long-term outcomes. We're going to talk about those things. Many of y'all know me. I'm a firearms instructor, firearms aficionado, gun nut, whatever you want to call me. But I'm also a paramedic. Have been for over 25 years now. I'm an EMS educator. I teach paramedics. I teach EMTs. I teach first responders how to use skills, simple skills, to save lives. Now, I can't turn you into an EMT or a paramedic on this stream or on any number of streams. Sorry, it's asking a little bit much. But what I want to do is I want to give you not only basic information on equipment, on tools, what you can use, how you can use it to stop the dying. I get questioned periodically, and that's some of what pushed the idea of this stream. I get questioned about, well, what kind of first aid kit should I get? Where would I get a first aid kit? Where do you recommend I get one? Who's got a good first aid kit? Now, there's a gazillion kinds of first aid kits out there, some better than others. I can't say that this one's right and this one's wrong, but we're going to talk about some of the things to look for if you're buying a first aid kit, and really how easy is it to build your own, custom suited to your needs, your desires, what you want to prepare for. At the simplest level, when you say, what is a first aid kit? Well, I'll go with a collection of tools or items designed to provide medical care to people suffering illness or injury until the arrival of other medical responders. Really simple. Now, when we say, what do you want to have in it? Well, we can talk about that and we'll go through a lot of stuff. Personally, I've got various first aid kits. I have one when I'm going to an outdoor range, if I'm going to be out a distance away from where my vehicle is or where anything else is. I have a little shoulder pack that I carry. It's fairly light. You can sling it over your shoulder. A lot of times we can go over it. Great. That's a simple, easy one. How about if I'm going to an indoor range? If I'm going to an indoor range, many of them have a good kit there. If they don't, I'll help them with it. But the ones I frequent usually have a kit there. But I want something maybe a little bit closer to me, right in the stall, especially if I'm teaching. Guess what? My range bag has a pocket in it that has a few medical goodies, and we'll go over what I carry. Now, if I'm going out to the wilderness school and we're doing some stuff out in the woods, maybe I'll bring that pack with me. If I want something smaller and even lighter weight, a simple mole pouch like this, you can clip this onto a backpack, you can clip this onto a 4x4 or a side-by-side, and guess what? It's going to give me what I need really quickly at hand. Now, if you look at all this pouch here definitely was not built for a first aid kit. It was just sort of put together. This here was not built as a first aid kit. It was just sort of put together. All it is something to hold it, protect the contents, and keep them together, kind of organized, easily accessible. If you're looking to build a first aid kit for yourself, you'll decide what you want to use it for. If you're an instructor and you say, hey, I want one when I'm taking students out to the range, you might want a little bit more. If you're just taking it out to the range with yourself, you may say, hey, look, I've got a pocket in my range bag. I can put some stuff in. I've got a small, quick kit. If you want something bigger, you can get into that. I know that we've done kits. This is a small personal size kit that we did something similar to this. This is a tool bag. It was available off a certain online website. It was $9. Now, this little tool bag for $9, will it keep the stuff together, keep it organized, kind of protect it? Yeah. For $9. Now, you can go online, you can find $30, $40, $50, $80 bags. What you spend on the bag, not really worth as much as, not really as important as what's in it. Now, my company deals with different contracts. We were dealing with a contract provider that has a large venue. They wanted bags they could put in their security vehicles in case of a major event of some kind. Okay, that little bitty tool bag I had, guess what? We went and got its big brother. This was about $28. It's heavy duty. It came from your local, I believe there's a hardware store or a big box store. Yeah. Guess what? We actually used that kit. Not only we made kits like that for them to put in their security vehicles, but we also got that kit and we use it for training. When we're having a class, we'll say, okay, here's your kit you're working out of, and it has all the stuff in it, very similar to the kit that their personnel carry at this event venue. So they're not only familiar with their kits, they train with a kit kind of like they use. And for $28, pretty easy to put together. Now, again, you can spend hundreds on fancy things, and they may have reflective trim on it. They may have a big blue Star of Life on it. If you want to go down that road, great. But again, I'd really organize it more, and I'd put the money into what's in the kit, and we'll go down that road in a second here. Next thing, start from the top. What are you planning for? General everyday stuff around the house? Do you live alone? Do you have young kids? Something like that, depending on what you're preparing for. Do you go hiking in the wilderness? You might want more stuff. You'll be further away. Remember, the kit's designed to deal with whatever goes on, illness or injury, until the Band-Aid buggy or first responders or professional responders of some kind get to you. Now, you can get big kits. You can spend a lot of money. Personally, I've never seen the wisdom of it. I won't say that, but maybe I won't say I never saw the wisdom of it. Maybe 30 years ago when I was a brand new baby EMT and I needed everything. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on stupid stuff. Don't do that anymore, really. Honestly, we'll go through the basics. I see we've got a few people coming on in. Welcome in, Mary. Good to see you tonight. And as she says, yes, when you come in, please hit the like button. Share this out. This could be really important. This is good stuff today. And I'm not just saying that because I'm doing it. I'm a little prejudiced on that. But what I am saying is we're trying to do it to give you the information to be your own first responder. Because I got news for you. Looking at that event that happened at Traverse City Walmart, it was bad. As someone who works on a Band-Aid buggy, who has the red lights and siren about every second or third day, if I'm rolling in and I've got 10 or 11 patients, having a bystander who's got basic equipment, something like what I have in this, who's able to stop bleeding for one of those patients, that can save their life. Simple. That could be the difference between you, your family member, a bystander, making it to the hospital or not. So yeah, definitely good stuff today. Mr. Scott Awesome, I see you in there. Howdy, fellow feds. Always nice to see you, sir. Glad you're able to join us. I know it's a little bit early for your timeline, but we tried to do this early to let more people see it today. So let's think. What are we planning for? Local and around town, sports team. We did a kit for a girls softball team. They wanted a kit just to have something there. One of the people who was involved with it, she was a coach, or assistant coach, and she's also a paramedic, former paramedic. She said, I just feel so naked without anything. I said, okay. We organized and we found a bag, a little bit between the red bag and the big black one I held up, a little bit bigger than this one. We found it online through a certain mail order place that was able to send it for about $18, and it was hot pink. I sent her a question. I said, what do you think about a hot pink bag? And she's like, how do you get a hot pink first aid kit? She loved it. She was just gushing. Yes, Jen, I'm talking about you. But that's okay. I was like, cool. She said, oh, I'll love it. The girls will love it. Great. So we did that. The bag fit her lifestyle. She liked it. I've had people say, well, I want something that says first aid on it so everyone knows what it is. Folks, you can get all sorts of patches. I know I saw one set of patches that one had about that big. It was a black background and it had in bright red lines, first aid. And underneath it had in parentheses, ouch pouch. I thought it was cool. Doesn't have to be fancy. Has to fit. The next thing is, are we going hard-sided kit or soft-sided kit? I've shown you a lot of soft-sided kits. A lot of mine are. What if you want a hard-sided kit? Maybe protect your stuff a little bit more. Maybe it'll be riding around in the toolbox of your truck or riding around somewhere and you want something a little bit more protected. Go look at toolboxes. Go to your local big box store, go to your local Harbor Freight, Northern Hydraulic, any of them. Go get a cheap orange toolbox at what was a Homer's Plus over at Home Depot. You get one of those orange toolboxes. Guess what? You've now got a hard-sided first aid kit, or at least a home for one. Now, when you're figuring out how big it's going to be, start figuring out what you're going to put in there and how much of what you're going to put in there. And we'll go through. You can take that, maybe take a little blue paint on it, on the orange, and write first aid or stop the bleed or whatever you want. And you don't have a lot of money invested in a box or a bag. So, when we talk about what's inside, well, the first thing we're going to get into is your tools or things like that. Now, the tools can be anything from simple. I've got stuff lined up all over the place here. One of the things that I have in one of my wilderness kits that I typically carry, a little bitty mini headlight like this. Runs on a couple of AAA batteries. I can throw it on my head very easily. Can't do it with these on. But if I'm out in the woods, especially questionable lighting, I need something I can work with. That, again, super cheap. In my little pouch I carry here, I've got a pen light on the side of it. Again, I think this was $7. It works on, again, 2 AAA batteries. Yep. Kind of handy. Definitely well within the budget. Now, one thing you're going to want to have is something to remove clothing, especially if we're talking about trauma, stopping bleeding. We need to expose a patient, expose a wound, to work on a wound. Something to remove clothing. Now, on this one here, this kit in particular that I carry on the range with me pretty regularly, we pop it open, have a little set of paramedic shears here. Now, the paramedic shears are kind of fun. You can get $70, $80, $90 shears. They've got screwdrivers, and some of them have oxygen wrenches and clothing hooks and all sorts of great stuff. Some of them even have little rulers on the side, so in case you need to measure something that long. Hey, great, wonderful. These you can typically get on there, and on the local big box site, on the local mail order place, you get a set of 20 assorted colors for $26. Now, why would you need 20? Well, if you've got a kit for your home and a kit for your car, maybe a kit for your kids, I get the assorted colors and some of the frilly colors, the pink frou-frou and the lavender and all those. I go to work at EMS and I tell some of the females I work with, hey, get your present. And I give them a pair of shears. But I've got 2 or 3 different sets of shears. I've got them in all my kits, everywhere. You can even throw them in the kitchen drawer. They're kind of handy. Throw them in your toolbox. Yeah. Now, are they just as good as those $80 shears? Well, they don't have all the features. But when these get torn up or dull or start to wear down, throw them in the kitchen utility drawer and put a fresh pair at work. This is the greatest shears I carry at work every day, working 911. You don't need $50 shears. The 20 pack assorted for $26 work just fine. And you know what? You're not using your kit every day. I carry my shears every day. Take care in the back of my belt. They're there. But you know what? Having a set in every place, having a couple sets in your car, in your toolbox, can be handy. So yeah, simple shears, simple lights. It doesn't have to be a 1,000 lumen LED super rechargeable. No, this just works on regular batteries. I check them out every about 5-6 months or so. Works just fine. My little headlight, have this in the wilderness kit, working in the backwoods, kind of handy. So beyond that, what else we need? Well, we're going to talk about PPE, especially gloves, personal protective equipment. There's all kinds of bugs and diseases running around these days. We don't want them. Again, you can go to your local big box store and get typically nitrile gloves. Nitrile is generally non-allergic. You know, a lot of people have allergies to latex, so we don't really want to deal with that. You may even have a sensitivity to latex that you didn't know about. But the vinyl ones, not very stretchy. Nitrile is what EMS carries, what we carry on all the trucks. Now, you don't need a whole box of gloves in every kit, but you take some gloves out and you put them in one of these special high-tech Ziploc bags. These are gloves that I know that are my size, and they're in a Ziploc bag, and I can put a bag like this, little baggie like this, in every kit. If I need gloves in a hurry, I can pull these out. They come in a big cardboard box. You don't need that. You don't need to carry 100 gloves around with you. Trust me, having that many will be good enough for now, and you can always restock it later. Save a little space. Why do I put them in this? Well, number one, holds them all together. Number two, it keeps any elements, any wetness, any moisture, any oxidization off the gloves. They last longer. Generally exposed to air, anything's going to start to degrade after a while, so we put them in this, and it keeps them organized. On a kit like this, you can throw them in one of the little outer pockets there, and guess what? Very readily accessible, very easy to get to, and simple to use. Okay, so we've got through those two. What's next? Well, major hemorrhage. Bleeding is bad. Bleeding kills. So how do we address that? Well, generally, we'll want something we can use to control severe bleeding. Typically, 4x4 dressings. Again, you can go to any store, get you a box of 4x4 dressing pads. In container, they look, let's see here. The ones in this pouch are kind of old, but that's okay. Actually, pull out from, again, I've got a pile of stuff around me here today. You'll start with something really simple. 4x4 dressings look something like this. Like 1 or 2 per pack, individually packaged. These are 2 per pack. And a couple different brands here. And maybe put 10 packs of these, 15 packs of these. Great. That's enough. You can do some bleeding control. In this little pouch, I've got about 5 2-packs, so 10 dressings total. And again, organized in a Ziploc bag. Why? Once it gets organized together, it goes into the kit. Now, if I'm working on somebody who's all covered with blood, I've got gloves on, and I'm reaching back and forth into the kit, if I pull this out, if I get my hands on anything else in the kit, it doesn't get contaminated. If I was trying to reach and pull these out individually, guess what? Every one that I touch is going to get blood on it, whether I use it or not. This, I can pull out, some dressings, and in that, I've also got a roller bandage, like cling wrap. Cool. Direct pressure with a gloved hand, dressing, wrap it with cling wrap. If that works and that solves the problem, woohoo, winner, winner, chicken dinner. But sometimes it doesn't, and we need to go to something a little bit more aggressive than that. Well, that's when we start talking about tourniquets. And I'll show you a couple of options here in tourniquets. Let's see here. Got one in the training kit. Sorry, folks. Like I said, I've literally got a pile of equipment under my feet here. We can pull out, again, simple pouches like this. And in an emergency, if you have a family member with you, you can actually hand them one pouch and you take one pouch and work from there. Now, if you're looking for a tourniquet, I know I brought 2 in here. The ones that I like personally, and this is just me, and I'm not going to say that it's what you've got to use or anyone's got to use. I really don't recommend like one brand over another. My general favorite is the Cats. They come pretty much packaged up like this. And again, I've got one right in my kit here. In this pouch, I've also got a little glove pouch in there. You notice not a whole box of gloves, so gloves and a CPR shield. A couple of 4x4s. Be right back. Let me grab a tourniquet off because I thought I had brought one in here, but I do not see it around anywhere. Hold on. Sorry about that. I thought I had brought one in here, but apparently I hadn't. I'll take the hit for that one. But the cat tourniquets generally look like this. This brand is Cat by North American Rescue. There's all kinds out there. As far as simple to use, they generally come in a pouch like that. I, for what it's worth, open mine up, thread it through, and it's pretty much ready to go. This is a trainer. We keep it in the kit. And the nice thing is for any extremity wounds, anything, from here down, legs, femoral arteries, things like that, if the direct pressure and the gauze wrap doesn't stop it, guess what? I've got tourniquets available. Now, how many tourniquets should you carry? How many people are you planning on working on? In my truck, I've got my little range bag I carry. I've got a cat in here as well. So again, if I pull one out, can I reach in here and say, whoop, there's a backup cat in this bag. Cool. What you got? So yeah, cat tourniquets can come in handy. And again, I carry them in all my kits. Stopping the bleeding is the number one thing we do. So we're going to deal with any major hemorrhage, whether it's with 4x4s, if that stops it, great. Cling wrap, that stops it, great. Another thing you can talk about or look at is we talk about these are compression dressings, also known as Israeli dressings. I know these days we call anything Israeli. Oh my God. But it is a combination of a wrap bandage with a dressing pad on it. We'll show these. We're going to be doing a part 2 to this where I'm going to demo the use of a lot of these things to give you, again, a better frame of reference. I want you, whatever kit you build, whatever you design, I want you to use your money effectively, use your money wisely, and I want your kit to meet your needs. And we'll talk about why some kits don't here in a little bit. So, okay, major bleeding control. Cool. I've got Israeli dressings. I've got tourniquets. What else would I want? Well, given the fact that this kit usually goes out in the woods with me, what if I'm dealing with some penetrating trauma? Well, I want to probably have got tourniquets for the extremities. I've got what's called hemostatic gauze. And again, this is just one brand that's out there. These are gauze sponges that are impregnated with special chemicals to help stop bleeding. These can be used to actually pack a wound. Again, part 2 of this, we'll be demoing how to do wound packing. But these will actually, again, they're more effective than the regular gauze. And for some place you can't use a tourniquet, wound packing gauze, really kind of cool to have. Folks, I think we've covered hemorrhage. We know what to do for extremities. We know what to do for non-extremities. Let's get into the next one, airway management. When we get into airway management, the number one thing we do, if the patient does not have air ability to go in and out, they can be rolled on their side, very simply, to allow any stuff, because we're doing a nice stream, I'm going to say stuff, and not the list of things that we could possibly be referring to as stuff, to drain out. So whether it's their Budweiser or their burrito, or whether it's blood or teeth or what, we can position them on the side in the recovery position. Again, we'll show that in the next stream, next part 2 of this, when we get into some of the hands-on skills. Clear that out. Cool. If you're going to invest anything, maybe a bite stick to actually keep them from clamping down on your finger if you have to rake some goo out there with your gloved hand. Cool. Next one, we're going to talk about breathing. or respirations. We want the patient to be able to breathe. How do we keep them breathing? Well, number one, again, we've got little bitty CPR masks. We saw the little one here. It's a little pocket mask. You can get fancy CPR masks that look like this. They're bigger, they're bulkier. If you are familiar with these and trained with it, cool. If you're not trained with it, on-the-job training is not the time to try to learn, because not only are we going to try to breathe through the mask for the patient, but we also have to maintain a seal of this mask on the patient's face. So there's a little hand-eye coordination, a little muscle memory. It's more of a skill level than there is using a simple CPR face shield. Yes, these are a little bit more protective, but the CPR face shield is really enough. Again, you're not planning on working a 30-minute resuscitation. Chances are, especially if it's a major trauma or shooting, if they're not breathing in the beginning, that's probably not going to be a patient you work on, and we'll talk about that in part 3. But simple face shields, CPR mask, and again, what do we throw in here with? Okay, little alcohol pads to clean up afterwards. Kind of cool. Again, I use this type of thing at work, so I'm familiar with it. But if you're not, the little CPR face shields, they're probably about $5.99 online. And you probably get a bulk pack of them, put them in your jacket pocket. A lot of times, if I'm out in public, I may have one in my pocket, may have one on my keychain, the little CPR keys. They're great. Next thing, anytime you've got penetrating trauma to the chest, there's a possibility that you can get a sucking chest wound. We'll get more into that. You want something to seal it. Now, the professional high-dollar sealing tool is what we call a hyphen seal or an Asherman seal. You know, this is a range bag, so it's got lots of chest seals in it because firearms, if something, heaven forbid, happens on the range, I need to be able to seal a sucking chest wound fast. But do you really need these? Trust me, I know what they cost. They're pricey. You can go out and get little Vaseline gauze. This is what EMS carried for years before these fancy things came out. These are actually still required on EMS units. And the Vaseline gauze doesn't work too well to seal the chest, but the tinfoil wrapper it's in does a really good job, as long as you've got a good-sized roll of tape with you. What kind of tape? I've got medical tape. Go over to the auto parts store, get some 200-mile-an-hour tape or duct tape or whatever. You can even get pretty colors. Grab that, throw it in your kit. So yeah, duct tape. Will it work? Yeah. Will it stick? Yeah, good. And works a lot easier. So yeah, the fancy, bleeding control stuff, yeah, I carry it. But then again, I'm also a firearms instructor. I'm on a range fairly regularly. So my little pouch is going to have some goodies in it. We go through here. Again, here's a little cat tourniquet down on the bottom. All this stuff is very, very simple. Your goals are, number one, stop all the bleeding. Oh, number one, protect yourself. PP. Number one, stop all the bleeding. Number two, keep the airway clear. Number three, if they've got a sucking chest wound with bubbling blood, seal it all up. Seal that container. When you figure out how many people, what kind of stuff, that gives you an idea. Would a kit like this be big enough for your car, for your house? Yeah, I believe that was $8-9. I think I was get a 3-pack of them for like $26, $27. And we've actually used them to make kits for clients. Let's see, what else do we have here? We're going to go over a few other things. One thing, if you happen to be looking at doing off-the-grid stuff or out in the woods stuff or a distance away from humanity stuff, that can be a big bonus for you is splints. Now, you can get all kinds of wonderful splints. Again, you can spend anywhere from like $10 to $1,000. I try to go on the cheap end. These aluminum malleable splints, they roll out to whatever position someone would need it to be splinted, and you set it and you can secure it with the cling wrap we talked about before, the gauze bandage. Something simple like this. This can use to wrap this to an extremity. Real easy. So I've showed you probably 10 items, and you can go back and play with it. I will possibly even publish out a little list up on the local site or something else, and it'll give you some ideas. Folks, first aid doesn't have to be expensive. Being prepared doesn't have to be expensive. Now, the fancy quick clots and all that stuff, yeah, if you think you need it, great. If you're looking at where you're going to spend money, a durable outer shell, hard or soft, to protect and keep everything together. Okay, you can be reasonable. Tourniquets, big time life safety. Definitely throw the money in there. 4x4s, if you go to your local store and you see a box, a 10-pack or 20-pack of 4x4s, you grab that, it'll probably be about $10 tops. Some cling wrap or some bandage wrap to hold everything in place, great. It doesn't have to be a fancy ACE compression bandage or anything like that. You can add that stuff if you think you need it. Again, it's everybody buys a car, it's got a spare tire with it. Now, some cars, they went with a little donut model. Some vehicles have the full-size spare. But no one's carrying 4 full spares with them. I mean, you're not driving down the road with like a rack of tires up on the top of your car just in case you have to change all 4. We try to keep our preparations reasonable, effective, and within the budget. So stuff like this. By the way, as we're going through this, if you're here live and you've got questions, by all means, throw them in the chat. If you're catching this on the replay, gang, later on, if you have a question about something or specifically, by all means, hit me up. Say, hey, look, Sully, what about this? Or do you think this is a good investment? Do we think this one will work well for me? If you're looking, I'll show you here where you can get more information on a lot of the stuff we do. You can actually find us on X, Twitter, Facebook. There's our locals account there. I'll try to post some more information there. Of course, we've got our Rumbles, and I've even got my email down there. Folks, I believe in this stuff. I've seen it make a difference between bad outcomes and good outcomes. And again, like I said in one of the streams earlier, I'd love to stop it from happening. I'd love for it to never happen. But criminals are going to criminal and crazy is going to crazy. And unfortunately, you've got people who will walk into that store up in Michigan who went out there and did the hokey pokey. You've got people who will go out there and take a vehicle and drive it through a bunch of pedestrians. You've got people who will go up to a marathon and do really bad stuff with pressure cookers. If you or your friends or family are unfortunate enough to be at the point where it happens, you want to be prepared. And yes, stopping the killing is good. Stopping the dying is also good. Now, before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Blackout Coffee. And the reason I got to give them a big shout out is not only do they help us keep this stuff available, they've got a promo code for us. Use promo code Sully. You get 20% off your first order. And a lot of their blends, their K-Cups, as you can see in the picture, go to support the Second Amendment. They actually have special custom roasts for the Gun Owners of America, for the Firearm Policy Coalition, for the SAF. Blackout has not only great coffee, they've got a whole host of different flavored coffees. And for the people who know, yeah, I go through a lot of coffee. Imagine that. And you can, again, use coupon code or promo code Sully. You get 20% off your order. And you look at some of the cool flavors here. What's that? French vanilla, coconut caramel, hazelnut cream, caramel cream, cookie doodle. Let's see. I think that's banana, split or Highlander grog, toasted coconut. You know, personally, I'm a big believer in coffee flavored coffee. I'm kind of old school like that, but I'll tell you, they've got great stuff. And promo code Sully saves you 20% off your first order. They also throw a little money into the channel for that. They can help us get this information out. Okay, hiking kit. What about a snake bite? Great question. First off, find out what kind of snakes you have in the area and when they're in season. Number one. Number two, if you're dealing with a snake bite situation, there are commercial snake bite, like suction extractor units that you can get that are actually made to suction the venom out. Really cool. I would stay away from anything that has razor blades or tells you to make an incision or dig in anymore. Sometimes you will, again, based on the nature of the snake and the nature of the venom, how far out you're going to be in the backwoods. Again, if you're out there doing like alone and you're going to be 24 hours from help, or if you're out in the woods 30 minutes from the closest ER, you may say, look, I'm going to put a constricting band on and go to the ER and let them deal with it. Most of the common snake venoms, if you're fairly close to an ER, they're not going to present that much of a risk. And again, we've seen a lot of historically or anecdotal stories of so-and-so had a snake bite kit with this kind of razor and you make this incision and that incision. They're not that familiar. They're cutting on a human being. It's a little bit weird to them. It's not something they do every day. And guess what? They go too deep. They cause more problems. They did damage underlying tissue. Yeah. Well, you got news for you. The snake bite wasn't a problem, but that arterial bleed they caused, that killed them. Again, find out what kind of snakes you have. Talk to your local rangers. Find out what they recommend based on that flavor, breed, whatever of snake. But great question. Good one, Mary. Now, I started this off and I started saying that, you can get pre-made kits, but I really don't recommend it. And I honestly think before I can go out and make a statement like that, I probably need to show you why. I need to justify a little bit why the XYZ first aid kit that you saw on the big box store was not a really good idea. And here is kind of where a lot of the fallacies come in. And I am just going to randomly pull up a first aid kit here. Let's see. This is let's see. They say they are a 50-person, all-purpose first aid kit for business, worksite, home, and car. Wow, that sounds like a pretty good first aid kit. It's only $20. Wow, and it's a 50-person kit. Yeah, I guess those 50 people, if they don't all get hurt at once, I guess would work with you. But okay, let's dig into this kit a little bit and let's throw it under the bus. And again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying if you're going to get it, realize that you may want to tweak and add a few things too. Because not only can we critique what they've got in here, we can also critique what they don't have in here or what we don't see. Because we've talked about some good stuff. Now, we have got this here, and we're going to look at this. Up on the top here, we have got, looks like a couple rolls of cling wrap. Okay, we've got some non-aspirin pain reliever, ibuprofen, some antacid. Remember, 260 individual first aid products. A bunch of them right there. The non-aspirin pain reliever, the ibuprofen, the antacid, they all expire. And if you're on a mass scene, like someone doing the hokey pokey up in Michigan, I keep using that one, but those items are all useless. Looks like it's got a halfway decent pair of scissors in it. It's got a little guidelines book, cool. It has got one 5x9 trauma pad. Okay. It's got some 3x3s over here. It's got a bunch of band-aids over here. Folks, got news for you. If all it needs is a band-aid, it may not need like emergent care. We've got some burn gel here. If you're potentially dealing with burns or something like that, that would be something you may want to add to yours. Okay. Sterile 2x2 pads. You notice they've got 2x2s and 3x3s. Yeah, great. No 4x4s and one 5x9. If someone's bleeding severely, I can burn through that collection in about 13 seconds flat. Little 2-inch wide cling wrap. Mine are usually 3 or 5. 3 is about the smallest I'll carry. You've got here an instant cold pack. It's a single-use item. Okay. A little pack of gloves and some tongue depressors. They could be useful if you have to use them to rake some gunk out of someone's mouth. The little prepackaged Q-tips there, not going to do a lot for us. So overall, the 260 pieces, the cling wraps are small. I bulk those up. There's no tourniquet. Nothing I see that would seal a sucking chest wound. Maybe some wrappers I could probably use. A single triangle bandage. No real splinting stuff. But boy, it's got some pain reliever and some fever reducer and some antiseptic towelettes and a little pair of plastic tweezers that after it's all over, you may want to use them to go ahead and clean up and get your shorts pulled out of your rear end. Okay, and again, that's just one there. Now, that's a very inexpensive, simple kit. It's a $20 kit. Is it bad? No. But if you wanted a box of Band-Aids, which is most of what that kit is, great. Is that in a lethal force, in a shooting, a gunshot situation, what you need? No. But it's OSHA compliant. Now, we'll go a little bit further here. We'll take one. This one here, I think is really interesting because this one's a little bit more expensive. This one is let's see here, 25 person, 78 pieces. And when you ever hear them bragging about the number of pieces, realize that a lot of those pieces they're counting Band-Aids. If you go to your local store, Target, pharmacy, whatever, and you get a box of Band-Aids, it doesn't say 100-piece hemorrhage control kit, 100-piece wound care kit. Yeah. What do we see? We see a lot of little individual medication items and a lot of Band-Aids, halfway decent scissors, maybe. It's got a little roll of adhesive tape up on there. Oh, it's got 2 5x9s. No, yeah, 2 5x9s. Well, a little CPR keychain, that would be useful. Eye wash pads and tape. Yeah. Urgent first aid gauze pad, 3x3. Yeah. Again, not a bad kit. Nothing wrong with it per se if you're looking for something for your office or for your workplace. But if you're looking for something for at the range, maybe not. I will show you a trick, and we did this years ago for the range. We actually made these up for our company. We had, let's see, I think I had a couple in here. We took a box of individual Band-Aids that we got up at Costco, and we put a Band-Aid and an alcohol swab, if you can see it there, and we sealed it in one of the little plastic food savers. And what we did is we actually sealed them, made them individual pouches, and we cut them out. We gave these out in class. We told people, yeah, here's cool. courtesy of Valley Medical Services, medical training education. You could put a couple in your purse, couple in your range bag, couple in your toolbox, couple in your glove box. We were giving these things out like crazy. Why? Everyone needs a Band-Aid or two. No one usually needs a box of 100 Band-Aids. We took that box of 100, it has an alcohol pad to clean up, it has some first aid cream, and a Band-Aid in it. Yeah. You could make some of these up. Make them up for your hunt club. Make them up for your range. Give them out. They're really cool promo items. Everybody loved these things. We went through a box of Band-Aids, and we were just doing it in the Seal a Meal package. Did really good. Okay, let's see here. Coming through here, different first aid kits. Again, oh, this one says survival on it. So if it says survival on it, then I'm sure it'll be perfect for what we need. Let's take a quick look at it here. Okay, well, it's got an American flag and a Red Cross on it. I will give them big props. They've actually got something here that can be used as a tourniquet. They've got a tool here that can apparently do a lot of stuff. They've got a flashlight. Okay, that's going to be handy. They got a SAM splint. Okay. Lots of Band-Aids. Good. iPad. Okay. Wound pads. Yeah. Again, for a camping trip or something like that, maybe. But in truth, one Israeli trauma dressing. There's your SAM splint. Shows how that works. Again, I'm not saying they're bad, but it's a 4-in-1 bracelet. Okay. But you're at $40 right there. And honestly, I could spend $50 and have a whole lot more stuff. And a whole lot, in my opinion, better setup. I'm not saying these kits are bad, folks. What I am saying is be wary what you're spending your money on. I like this here. This is just the bag. It shows that this is a first responder. Let's see. This is a first responder bag. Okay. And remember, if it's got a Star Life on it, that means it's good stuff. Now, I mean, it's green. If it only said tactical on it, it would have been worth, I could have probably called it tactical and charged $36 for it. But anyway, start your own kit right, blah, 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 blah. Total size of it. How big is this thingamabob here? It doesn't even tell me. That's not a winner to me. But, if it doesn't even tell me how much is in there, what could we look at here? Ideal for first responders. Easy to carry. Hold a wide variety of tools. Okay. Okay. This is 17 by 11 by 7. 17 by 11 by 7. Now, I am just going to go over here because by dumb luck, I made some lists earlier. And on my lists here, I started going through some stuff. This is the 20-pack of shears for $26. Again, all the colors of the rainbow, as opposed to a fancy Leatherman that is $99 for one pair of shears. Now, granted, there's a lot of other tools on there. I'll give them that. I wouldn't carry those at work because I'd be afraid I'd lose my $100 shears. I can go through a lot of those other ones. And again, when I ding them up and dirty them up, chunk them. Quick clot dressing. They've got them here. Again, $18. I'm not sure how many comes in that pack, but definitely be worthwhile. The Israeli wrap dressings, $5.99. Here's the stickers I was telling you about, the seals. I could easily get those and go ahead and sew them on this thing. Yeah, that would work. As opposed to $24.89. Here's a WorkPro toolbox for a WorkPro 16-inch wide bag, $22.99. Now, a tool bag, especially, this is a hard-sided, actually designed, pretty heavy duty. Yeah, got a bottom to it and everything else. Let's compare that to that first aid kit we were looking at. You know, here's again a good sized bag. We're going into 33 at this point, but you've got a lot more pockets and your size of it is going to be a lot bigger. This one is 14 by 8 by 7. And again, you can put whatever you want on it. And again, a lot of times you'll have heavier grade material. Folks, you do what you feel, what you like, what you want. I just would hate to see someone go out and spend 50 or $100 to buy a kit that's got a lot of items in it because it's got a big number and realize that half their items were a $5 box of Band-Aids. And then, well, there's some Tylenol and some aspirin in there and some ibuprofen. I mean, yeah, couldn't have gotten that like one aisle over in big jar form. Now, if you need an EpiPen or you need something specific like that, by all means, that would be something specific to you. If you need Benadryl or something like that, you can get those and you can put that in your kit. You can custom it out however you want. If you decide you want to put 3 or 4 tourniquets in there, good deal. Because the first rule of using tourniquets is if you think you're going to need one, get your second one ready. If you think you're going to need 2, get your third ready. You know, sealing, sucking chest wounds. You know, the wrapper, duct tape. We'll talk about how to do that in part 2 of this. Part 2 of this is going to be a lot of using all these things, demoing all these things. I want you all to not only get some stuff out of this, get some ideas out of this, but also be able to be your own first responder. Because I'd love to, we always say, why do I carry a gun? Because it's lighter than trying to carry a cop around. Yeah. Why do I carry a first aid kit? Because it's a whole lot easier than carrying a paramedic around. Whether it's workplace, whether it's going to the range, training, going camping, hiking, whatever. Again, like I said, we've had contracts for different venues that we've done a bunch of training for their people. And they say, what kind of kit should we get? And I'm like, what are you trying to accomplish? How many people come in? What do we need? Well, we need something we can put in our security cars, okay? So it's got to be durable. It's got to protect the contents. And one thing you notice, every time I pull contents out, a lot of it's in a Ziploc bag. And there's a reason for that. If for some reason this is in your trunk and your trunk leaks, or you accidentally leave this out of the campsite, or it gets dropped in the river, if everything is sealed in Ziploc bags, all of your contents, all of your medical stuff that's in paper wrappers is all salvaged. If you get blood in it because you're reaching in, you're pulling kits out, you're working the big bad stabbing, when you're done, you can take some alcohol, hand sanitizer, and clean off the Ziploc bags that had blood on them. And meanwhile, all the contents are all protected. Again, can be real easy. At EMS, we seal our individual boxes. You know why? Because if we do end up going through and having a bloody battle on the back of the truck, with sometimes it looks like someone tried to slaughter a cow with a chainsaw back there, guess what? It's easier to clean up. So by all means, simple stuff here. If you've got questions, I put my email address out up there. Please do what you can. Like, share this out. Share this out to your friends, your normies, and say, look, even the people who are anti-2A, who will never pick up a firearm in their life, guess what? They can still learn to be their own first responder. They can learn to save the life of themselves or someone else. I'm going to close this out with a little quick story. Many, many years ago, I lived up in North Carolina. My roommate at the time was a police officer. He worked nights. I worked EMS and fire. I was in paramedic school. My next door neighbor was was sisters, but they were both very, very attractive. And one day, one of them was trying to cut a muffin, and the knife slipped, and it went through and through. And she sent her other sister next door, this little duplex apartment, pounding on the door. I mean, I thought the place was on fire. I come running downstairs. What's going on? And she's like, she's bleeding. She kept, and I'm like, okay. And I ran over to my truck, had a kit that was far from a fancy kit. I mean, hell, I was in school. I was rooming with an old semi-retired cop. I grabbed a kit that was not much bigger than this. I had gloves in it. I was able to, deal with bleeding control real quick, simple stuff. She had already pulled the knife out. Usually don't do that, but she pulled the knife out. It was bleeding out both sides. Gloves on, good pressure points, elevated above the level of the heart. I'm rocking it. And it's like, the sister at that point says, should we call 911? I'm like, the bleeding is about over. She probably needs to go to the hospital. Do you want me to give her a ride, or do you feel up to driving? And she's like, you probably need to do it because I think I'm going to pass out. Look. And I look, and there's blood on the walls, there's blood on the door, there's blood on everything. So, okay, let me go next door and grab my wallet and my keys and stuff. And we done it. Boom. We go from there. Okay. If your kit doesn't have one, or if you have no kit and need to use a tourniquet, a generally wide, 1 inch or more, constricting band of some item. We don't want to use anything narrow or like a wire. Great question, Mary. As your belt. I know when we do the Wilderness Med, I often talk about the fact if you don't carry a tourniquet, do you have a backpack strap handy? You can cut the backpack strap off, wrap it around, tie it in a knot, and then put something through it to torque it and twist it down. Well, what would I torque it and twist it down with? Well, how about a pair of shears? You can actually torque and twist it down with that. And I'll show a demo of how to do that in part 2 of this. Great question on that one. But yeah. But my point in this whole thing, the sisters who live next door to me, the first response, the first thought they could have possibly had was, how do I deal with this? Oh my God, get the person next door. I was like, little bitty tiny kid. Got it. Bleeding was controlled. She was okay. Probably need to go for stitches. Just put a bread knife through your freaking arm. We went to the ER. Life was good. Her folks met us there. I was like, okay, you got her. I'm going back home. I'll get you ready for work in the morning. But it was simple stuff. Now, how would it have worked if I wasn't there? I don't know. Can I say, oh, I saved her life? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it was the totally unplanned for, 2 sisters, one with a master's degree, one finishing her master's degree, relied on literally a $40, bargain basement big box tool bag first aid kit. And it worked. So again, simple stuff. Learn skills. We'll be going over some skills in this. I want to definitely have a chance to show a few things, part 2 and 3 of this. So that's all I've got for tonight. Please, folks, be smart, be safe, take care of yourself. The world's gone nuts. And yeah, we want to be prepared for the worst. And if nothing else, hopefully you never use any of it. Good night, all. Bye.